Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, David M coming at you here with another video. This video is going to be different. Haven't shown any basketball in quite some time. But I tell you what, I have just gotten to where I have really been missing the basketball that I grew up with. To me, today's game is unwatchable, both college and pro. I can't get into it, haven't in quite a long time now. But man, did I love it as a kid and in the 90s, and just, I really miss it. And huge shout out here to Andy D's Collection, one of the great guys out there, but also shows a lot of vintage basketball. And I've been watching his videos, and every time I see one of his vintage basketball videos, I'm like, man, I got to get into the vintage basketball game. Really get some of these guys that, I grew up, like guys from the 60s and 70s that I didn't see play live necessarily, most of them. But, I always heard, stories from my dad, who was a huge basketball guy. And then, of course, the 80s and 90s are the guys that I loved and grew up with. But anyway, so I have a very tiny vintage basketball collection. I always wanted to complete the Maravich run. I haven't tried in a long time, but I've had this Maravich since I was a kid. I mean, you can tell the old screw down, right? Had this old Maravich forever. Picked this one up a couple years or so back. One of my favorite images on a card. Such a beautiful set. And much like vintage hockey, man, some vintage basketball in the 70s has some just amazing card designs. But I say all that to say I picked up some more vintage basketball. And again, huge shout out, thank you to Andy at D's Collection. My wife won't be so happy with you, but man, you really inspired me to get back into the vintage basketball game. We'll get back to Maravich in a minute. So here's what I did. I started looking at some cards online, and mainly Maravich to start with, right? And what happened was basically I fell in love with the set design. And the first card I picked up, I'm going to show you right now, and it's a card of a player who's, of course, an all-time legend, who I did not have a vintage basketball card of. But the image on this card I absolutely fell in love with, had to have it, and I'm going to show it to you right now. And that is the 1975-76 Dr. J. So the ABA first team all-star card here, but look at that image. That is so cool. Dr. J is doing one of a couple things here. He's either skywalking this way and is going to have an acrobatic over his head off the backboard shot over Artis Gilmore, I believe. The old Kentucky Colonels. This was their next to last year in the ABA. Anyway, and you can see here, cowering, he's got nothing. Backing off, he's got nothing. Gilmore's going to try to block it. So again, he's either soaring this way, or I like to think he's soaring this way. He's going to spread the legs, go over the head, reverse slam, call it a day. But I just think, just the basic card design, I love the coloring with the pink in there, just that great classic vintage look. Everything about this card I love. Here's the back. Even the back's cool. Love the coloring on the back there. Fell in love with it. So I added this one, and it was not very expensive. I mean, again, of course, I live in lower grades, especially for vintage, just because it's affordable. And to me, I mean, that card looks beautiful. I don't know what a 4 should be, but to me, I mean, there's a little bit of a, like a chipping right there. Otherwise, though, I mean, that's a dust spot on the sleeve. There's nothing, right? And it's even decently centered. A little bit of corner wear there, whatever. I just think it's awesome. Love it. Was thrilled to add that Dr. J. Now, told you I was on the lookout for Maravich. Well, that same set has a Maravich image that I just love, and I picked one up here. And there it is, looking like Fu Manchu there, but just such a cool shot. One of the wizards of the game, one of the original wizards of the game. Just I remember when I was a kid growing up, there was a movie, I think it was called The Pistol. I might be wrong about that, but just, I remember watching that as a kid growing up, and I wanted to model, even though I was a huge Jordan fan, like I wanted to model my game after Maravich because I played a lot. And that's when I watched that and I was like, all right, I'm going to learn how to do all the fancy dribbling and I'm going to learn how to do all that kind of stuff, which, back then, the bigger guys on the team didn't do. And I remember my dad taking me like for a ride in his Jeep, and I would dribble a little bit, or try my best to dribble a basketball outside of a moving Jeep. But just, gosh, such memories. But loved Maravich, or I'm sorry, I never saw him play live. I was a little bit too young to see him play live. But anyway, just love watching highlights, love all of it. So anyway, was thrilled to add this Pistol Pete. I'll put that right there. And this is, oh, by the way, a shout out to my boy Perch here. I forget what these are called. There's a sleeve that's over this PSA slab that kind of blacks it out and makes it like an SGC slab. I don't remember what it's called. So if you want to know what they're called, if you like that, go check out my buddy Perch's channel. All right, so I liked that card so much that I picked up a second one. And this one, I actually found for a fraction of the price of that one. And was just, I couldn't say no. So again, that beautiful, beautiful card. I love the coloring. I love everything about it. The pink on the dark with that blue, just, it reeks of the 70s and vintage. And I love it. Love everything about it. So again, Andy, you have opened up a Pandora's box for me. But I can't wait, because now I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to get at least all the Hall of Famers from this set. I would love to, like I did with the 64 Topps Giants back in the day. I'm not going to complete the whole set, but I would sure love to get all the Hall of Famers. So anyway, I'm going to stop the video there. I have a banger card coming that I can't wait to show. And yes, I'll be showing some baseball again soon. My Cubbies are having a great year. It's been such a blast to watch. As I'm recording this, they're putting the wood to the Pirates. That game's almost over. Sorry, Mike. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing well, and I will catch you next time.